I was thinking... You know, I have a weird relationship with alcohol, but it's a John Voight, Angelina Jolie weird, not a Tom Cruise and every man, woman and child weird, but I think everyone does, no matter what their drinking habits. These days I can hardly drink at all because I'm usually too busy sitting in a windowless box trying to get my Windows 3.1 to run Final Cut Pro and hiding from the mailman, but even that's kind of weird. I mean, drinking alcohol is pretty strange, isn't it? And let's face it, most of it is watered down piss anyway, well, most of mine is. How bloody dare you, I only drink the finest, says the other me, I guess, I don't know, whatever. Alcohol, like almost everything, is essentially poison to your body, but the type of poison you really need your victim to go along with if you want them to die from it, so it's strange that even moderation, which I count as drinking any amount that doesn't put you into a brief coma or motivate you to marry a lamppost, is seen by many as the refuge of some sort of lightweight or party pooper. I actually stopped drinking completely for about 2.5 years, and I know what you're thinking. Well, I don't, that is quite presumptive of me, said no frat boy ever. But you might be thinking, what was wrong? Was I an alcoholic? Had I smashed my car into a tree, waking up hours later with 2 broken legs and a CAT scan machine that was being used to see if my brain was still mostly solid? Well, no, I couldn't really tell you why I stopped, other than I just didn't want to do it anymore, but whenever I told people I didn't drink, they'd assume I was religious, ill, or very addicted. And I think that's kind of perverse, because drinking isn't like smoking tobacco, which may be harmful, but doesn't change your behaviour in such a way that it's responsible for thousands of people waking up in prison cells each year having committed inebriated manslaughter with their bull bars, or buying half a ton of kebab meat even though the Turks selling the stuff are calling it gamey as a wild boar in fishnets and scuffed heels on a street corner, or shitting themselves on bar stools, waddling home and passing out fully clothed in the shower only to wake up hours later with hypothermia. Yet if you don't ingest the crazy water that makes you do those things if you drink too much of it, you're the weird one. Ugh. I used to live with a Muslim girl, don't worry, it wasn't in sin. Mr. Mo popped out of the sky and gave us his blessing, although she was a bit too old, he thought. And one day my friend came round, accidentally drank a bottle of vodka and then coloured in the toilet bowl with projectile vomit, and I remember her standing in the bathroom doorway and watching him as if he'd been shooting up with our best teaspoons in the way that only someone who comes from a teetotal background can, and I thought, you know what? Her judgmental harumphing is right, even if I do wish she'd stop leaving her shoes in the hallway. This is absolutely mad. I mean, why do people do it? And I can say this as someone who has, on many occasions, at work, been fucking drunk, and only on a few occasions, after 2 or 3 Pan-Galactic gargle blasters and a 6-pack of special brews, which by the way I found is the perfect combination for blowing the blood vessels around your eyes, do I wake up a few hours later on wet tiles and with the coppery taste in my mouth and think to myself, oh, that was a good night. And that's before you see the 115 photos someone uploaded to .idiot of the party you were at and that you're in every one of them with a different drink. Don't get me wrong, I think having a few drinks can definitely be good social lubricant, almost as good as mutual bigotry or cocaine, but to achieve the sort of social fluidity that might get cosplayers talking to people with gel in their hair, you have to know when to stop, and you have to stop early. And unfortunately that's about half a state assuming you started drinking at 7, and who can be bothered with that shit? But you know, as weird as it is that alcohol has such an important social function in most Western societies, and it does, until the invention of online dating, men who worked only with men either had to go to a bar or pray in book clubs to get a date, there's a weird stigma about drinking alone. That's the one thing teetotalers and Oliver Reed impersonators seem to band together to condone, but that's the safest type of drinking, followed by drinking at home with others. I mean real others, not the sock puppets you've named after characters in the Duchess of Malfi. Even people who spend their non-working life in pubs seem to turn their bulbous red noses up at solo drinkers, and I get why you'd go to the local. It's a social thing. How jolly wonderful. But why on earth you'd want to traipse into the middle of your grey metroplex, spend a day labourer's hourly wage on a single drink 8 or 9 times and then crawl back home or sit in the back of a bus that reeks of engine oil and blubber is beyond me, but as I have mentioned, I do live in a windowless box. I just want people to acknowledge that it's a bizarre pastime, like when people say they're going to Starbucks to drink a gallon of sugar caffeine soup to calm their cretinous tits. I mean, what is it really about? Is it about relaxing, about winding down, about forgetting, coping, having fun? It's certainly not about the taste. I mean, maybe it is if you're a master sommelier or a decrepit old man at heart trying to be a modern Don Draper by banging on about single malts and dem bitches, but most people who like the taste of something don't need to consume 7 of them in 4 hours. Yeah, sure, being drunk's fun, but only the first 500 times, and getting shit-faced sucks a bag of toad the next day. I'm talking about waking up not so much with a hangover, but a pseudo-religious experience in which you don't think you are, but you could be dead. But now I'm making myself sound bad, so I'll end this crunchy monologue by saying drinking alcohol is fine until you drink too much, but if you don't drink too much, it's hardly worth the calories. Just a thought. Of course, being drunk is a great icebreaker for meeting people in public toilets, but then again, so is concentrating.